Locker Room, with all the sports news you need, live.
And there we go. They say 10 minutes is a long bit in football, but we're here on the Locker Room. First of all, brilliant to be back on the show, by the way. I feel as though I've been off for about 5 weeks, but it's only been 2 weeks. And Glenn's been holding the fort since I've been away. And, I can't keep it in any longer. Yes, we won the game.
Just going to say quickly, Kenny McLean, big game player, always a guy who Steve Clarke will trust in the big moments, and he comes up trumps the game. Just saying.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, and if you're just turning on and you say, why are we happy for? Because we won, yes, 2-1. Where did that come from, by the way? Brilliant performance. Well, not brilliant performance, Graham, but I will take that all day long.
I genuinely can't believe that. For most of that game, I thought we were very poor, offered very little going forward. Lyndon Dykes was fighting a lone battle up front. We weren't really getting enough service time. We were defending well, but not really creating a lot. I mean, we were kind of stopping Haaland from really doing very much. I thought we were defending him quite well. First half, we didn't really have a lot of threat, but they only have really had one real chance. I think it was Sorloth had a free header in 30 minutes that he probably should do better. But apart from that, we were restricting them. We were giving them a lot of possession, but they weren't really doing a lot with it. Second half, it was kind of the same thing. We were, defending really well again. I have to single out Andy Robertson. I thought he was outstanding tonight. He was brilliant. And then again, we lose a penalty. I think Haaland's thrown himself to the ground. I agree with Michael Stewart. I think that was very soft, to be honest, but he's not going to overturn it. And then the best of it was, I didn't see Scotland scoring. We weren't really doing enough with the ball. We weren't really creating a lot. And then we made the changes. Bring on Gilmore, McLean and Armstrong, take off McGregor, poaches Gilmore. And the biggest thing for me is Norway took off Haaland. And within a minute, Scotland score. And it's a mistake from them. But fair play to Dykes. He doesn't give it up. Taps it in and you're thinking, right, at that point, let's just take the draw. But no, we don't want that. We then go back up the park. Brilliant football, has to be said. Great layoff from Dykes. And fair play to Kenny McLean. Laurie said it before he came on air there, big game player. It's a great finish. And I said in the group chat before the game started, if Scotland avoid defeat today, we are going to the Euro 2024. I am now more than positive we are going to the Euros because that is a magnificent victory. We're now well clear on top. We've got Georgia at home on Tuesday. We then play Cyprus away. I'm getting the tickets booked for the Euros because we're going to Euros. I've got no doubt about that at all. We're going to Euros. Fantastic. I'm not going to say great performance because it wasn't, but fantastic result. That is huge.
By the way, before we go any further, right, a lot of people might be turning on and say, well, why have we got a Scotland, no Scotland scripts on in the Camargue and the Hearts script? Yeah, the season has been finished for about 10 weeks now, but they like to show off their colours, and I've not got my Scotland script on either. I've kind of forgot that bit. I'll be back on service on Tuesday night. Delighted to have Laurie on the show. As always, you've been a busy man. Brilliant to have you back on the show. What do you think of that performance tonight, Laurie?
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, Michael. But my thoughts on performance are quite similar to Graham's. Actually, not a great performance, but in reality, in qualifiers and big games like this, the performance isn't what matters. It's getting a result, no matter which way you do it. And my word, did we get a result today? I mean, I really didn't see it coming at all. I mean, when Lyndon Dykes scored after, what was it, 87 minutes, I thought, I am more than happy with a draw here. But as you said, rightly pointed out, Graham, Scotland weren't happy with the draw. We wanted to get the job done out at Norway, and I do have the utmost confidence that we will be in Germany in less than a year's time now. So yeah, that'll be brilliant. I mean, of course, we'd like to get out of the group stages. We'd like to create that bit of history in the tournament, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's make sure we qualify first with no slip-ups on Tuesday night, And by the way, on Tuesday, I will have my Scotland stuff on as I cheer the team on Hampden.
By the way, he's called Mr. Grumpy, isn't he, Graham? But that's why we love him so much. Well, maybe me, I don't know. But James Elliott basically came in and says, really can't believe Scotland won the game. Well, they did. Since they were very poor all over the park tonight, but individual performances. So that's good. Well, thanks, Mr. Grumpy. And sorry, James Elliott. And Hurstby Scumberly says regular commentary. Get us on. We're better than that. We're better looking than that Thompson and that wee McLeod guy. He says around 85 minutes. Mark asked why Shankland hasn't been put on, and Marco, you've got a fan here. Laurie says has come out, even a team. I don't know. Remember that program from years ago, the scheme on BBC One, brilliant program. It's a good morning that Evan Media. So there you go. Keep your comments coming in on the locker room. After Scotland won by 2-1, yay, against Norway. A guy called Haaland, never heard of him actually. He's got a penalty, but never mind, get took off because I think he was actually going to sunbathe. But anyway, Scotland won the game by 2-1. And I mean, we'll talk about the beginning of the game because we're here until 8 o'clock tonight. This is brilliant, by the way. Graham, first half, Scotland were poor, but I said in the group chat that I would take that all day long. In the first half, I mean, Scotland really defended well, you would say, and I think the only chance that we had in the first half was Clarke, and good ball in from your mate Andy Robertson on the left hand side, and he was on fire tonight, Graham.
Robertson was brilliant all through the game, defensively and go forward. He was our biggest threat. He was fantastic. Probably one of his better games for Scotland. He was brilliant. But yeah, I mean, we were allowing Norway a lot of possession. I thought at times we showed them a little bit too much respect. It was like we were so scared of Haaland that we were defending so deep. But again, we didn't really give Haaland a lot of chances, a lot of porches. Hendry was having a bit of a contest with him. He got booked in the first half for a foul on the halfway. I mean, it was a send-off. It was a yellow card. It was never a send-off. But, you know, the physical battle was actually very good. They actually controlled Haaland quite well. But we weren't really doing a lot going forward. I actually thought we missed Che Adams tonight, where his pacing behind. We couldn't really play the ball over the top and get him behind because Dykes isn't that sort of player. So I think we missed Adams tonight. But we did defend very, very well. You know, we didn't really allow them a lot of chances. It was important, I think, that we stopped the supply to Haaland, and I thought we did that quite well. We didn't really let Odegaard get in positions that he could really get in behind and stuff. So we defended very well, but we didn't really create a lot going forward. I would have to say as well, and I would have said this even if we hadn't won, that referee was an absolute joke. I mean, we talk a lot about Scottish referees. That referee tonight was a disgrace. He gave Scotland nothing. There was a challenge that McGinn made on 37 minutes where he got booked for a foul on the Arsenis. It was never a free kick. It was never a foul. It was never a booking. A minute later, McGinn gets fouled, and it's not a yellow card. Haaland in the second half fouls Aaron Hickey, no booking. Kieran Tierney gets booked for making a perfectly good challenge to throw his hands up and he gets booked for it. That referee was an absolute joke all game. Horrible.
And you wonder where Bobby Madden went to, Graham.
Oh, honestly, it was terrible all game. So fair play to Scotland for that, overseeing that as well. But I mean, we did have to defend very well. Norway put a lot of balls in the box, but didn't really create a lot. I mean, Angus Gunn wasn't overly busy. As I said, the first half we had one header to save from Soloff, but it was a free header that he didn't really. It was an easy header to save. But second half, once they get the goal from Haaland's penalty, I'm thinking this game's done. You know, we don't look like we're going to get back in the game. But what do I know? Fair play to Scotland, fantastic to not only get the draw, but to go win the game and put ourselves in such a commanding position. When the draw was made for the qualifiers, I thought Spain will probably win the group, and it's Scotland and Norway fighting out for second place. Right now, you've got to see Scotland in a pole position. We're top of the group. We've won 3 on the trot. We've got Georgia at home on Wednesday, Tuesday, and listen, Laurie's right. We've got to win that game. But what a position we're in now! A fantastic position to get to the Euros. And honestly, I mean, that result tonight, I think I skipped my stepdaughter when I celebrated the second goal because I was like on cloud nine. It was just incredible winning that game. And again, there's a lot of comments coming in. Has to be stumble. First half, Norway had 63% possession. But as Mr. E says, it was in their own half. Scotland did that well. We pressed them, but didn't really get, we didn't really create a lot. But you know what? It doesn't matter. We've won the game 2-1 away from home. Again, I talk about statement wins. Steve Clarke has 2 now. He's had 1 against Spain and 1 tonight. Fantastic, honestly. And I've got to say as well, when the subs were getting made, I thought, I don't agree with these subs. Why not? When our striker, we need to win the game. But what do I know? Because they were right. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Rory, Dykes wasn't getting a lot of service tonight, but I think that was due because of Glenn was saying that we missed Shea Adams tonight as well.
Yeah, we absolutely did miss Shea Adams. I mean, as a whole, the Scotland team without Adams probably is quite slow. I mean, no disrespect to him here, he's a good player, but Ryan Christie's not the quickest. And of course, Robertson, as we're saying, had an excellent game, got himself up and down. But you can only expect so much pace from wing-backs effectively. And yeah, so Adams would be great to have back for the fixtures in September. But I tell you what, the players that we did have out there today did absolutely brilliantly. I mean, I think, if memory serves me right, that was actually an unchanged team from the Spain game, and everyone did merit their place. And
there was one change. Hendry was in for Grant Hanley. That was the only change there was.
Yeah, because Hanley's injured. Yeah, cheers, Graham. But that's it. The consistency in the selection is something that I always take kind of pride in. It kind of shows how far we've come as a nation rather than just chopping and changing. You always think of Scotland in the past, under Leighton McLeish and Strachan. We lacked identity, whereas now we know what a Scotland team is, and we know what we want to be, and most importantly, we get results, and we don't tend to buckle under the pressure.
A couple of comments coming in there. Keep your comments coming in, by the way. This is brilliant. We should do Scotland.
You can tell Scotland are one, can't you? Everyone's buzzing.
Yeah, no, exactly. Colin says, yeah, beauty. What happened? Did I miss something? And Mr. E came in and says, I thought the ref was Scottish Tory. He was so bad. Yeah, well, obviously. By the way, I was at a shopping centre today, right? And obviously it's nothing to do with the game. And I bumped into that Adam Tonkums or whatever the name is, the Scottish Tory MSP. And anyway, that's enough about my private life. James E basically came in and says Clarke might have passed his win record against Spain and Norway, but I still don't like him as a manager. I think if Scotland won the European Championships, Graham, I don't think Mr. Grumpy would still be happy, no?
Oh, I love James, honestly. Do you know what? I do kind of see where he's coming from, because I think if you look at that first half in particular, we were very negative. I thought we did show a little bit too much respect to Norway, but I do understand it, because you can see, I mean, they talked about it during the game, the threat that Haaland's got. Every time Haaland got the ball, there was this kind of urge that something's going to happen. Haaland is a fantastic player, but I think we showed them a bit too much respect. We didn't look like we were going to score at any point in that game. And then to get those 2 goals at the end. So, I mean, I can see where James is coming from. There's a lot of Scotland fans are still not overly enamoured with Steve Clarke, but he's doing a job. He got us to the last Euros. By the looks of it, touch wood, he's going to get us to these Euros as well. I mean, obviously, listen, the man who'll know more about Steve Clarke than I will is Laurie, because he was commanding manager. I mean, I take it, Laurie, you guys must have loved Steve Clarke as manager. He did a great job there. And I think as well, I think the time that he left, he actually quite liked this as well because he came on the park at Rugby Park and he basically said, bye bye Rangers, bye bye Celtic. I kind of liked that because it kind of showed a bit of an arrogance, if you like, that we don't really see a lot. But I mean, you're more able than anyone to tell us about what Steve Clarke is like as a manager because he was command manager for quite a while.
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, I would kind of consider myself to be, well, almost a Clarkeologist, if you will. I mean, to Kelly fan and Kelly fan of my generation, he's a bit of a legend and always will be. I mean, that season where we, finished third and then capped it off with the bye bye Rangers speech on the park, that was absolutely brilliant. The thing Steve Clarke seems to be great at, and you'll see it with Scotland as well, it's getting the most out of players who people would perceive as being average players. Like, I would say that Scotland squads these days are probably a bit better than what we had maybe 5-6 years ago with more Premier League players and stuff. But it's not. We don't have a team of world beaters, and Steve Clarke's always been very good at getting the best out of players who you wouldn't think are capable of doing certain things. Like if you look at Kelly, you always had the likes of Alan Power, Gary Dicker, these types of like almost workman-like players, and Steve Clarke seems to do something. I don't know what it is that gets some sort of tune out of them, which no one else seems to have been able to do. And that applies with Kelly as well. We've not, of course, we're definitely had it now, but we've not really been able to get anywhere close to replicating what we had in the Steve Clarke, even at times with a similar group of players.
And I know, Laurie, that what's in the game that I put in the group chat at halftime, we were playing okay. But if you think back, like Norway, they didn't really work Angus Gunn a lot, apart from the header in the first quarter was like 10 minutes by Haringa. And that was it. And Scotland really defended well.
Yeah, we really did defend well. It was just at the other end we were kind of lacking, but we've always been the same. And I mean that is very true with how Steve Clarke plays. It is defence first. I mean, at the end of the day, he wasn't a defender in his playing career, so that's just the way he's brought up. But we did defend really well throughout the whole game. I would say, really, of course, Norway got the penalty, which was debatable, as Graham mentioned. Michael Stewart said in commentary in Viaplay that he kind of forced himself to the ground, and he absolutely did. But these days, VAR is going to let that slide, aren't they? So, yeah. But the first half, we did defend well. Second half, also. But, of course, we had the wee kick in the teeth. But at least we managed to recover it.
And I suppose, like, Graham, that's the difference with Scotland teams now compared to like years ago. If they get beat, if they were getting beat 1-0, whatever, like the heads would go right down, and we would go on the show saying, "Oh, Scotland get beat again 3-0." But that's not the case because there's a good team spirit in the team, and I think that's down to Stevie Clarke and his coaching team.
100%. You can see it. You can see the man management that he's got, the players. You talk about this a lot. I mean, how many times on the previous managers did you see players pulling out of squads because they didn't care enough? I don't get that with the Scotland group, though. They all care. They want to be there. And I got that today. At 1-0 down, even though I don't think we were playing that well, there was never that real panic that, we're going to lose this game. Maybe there was with me at home and other folk at home, but with the players, it's like, we'll get back in this, it's fine. And Michael Stewart did say it during commentary that Scotland can score goals. You've got John McGinn, you've got Dykes, you've got players that can score goals, even on the bench, not that he got on, but you've got Shanklin and Nisbet you can bring on as well. So there is players that can score goals. So there was never that panic that you maybe couldn't get back in the game. And while it's only 1-0 down, you've always got a chance from a set piece or a mistake, which is exactly what happened with the goal we got for Dykes. It's a poor mistake from Norway, who didn't make many of them. But you've got to give credit to Dykes because he didn't give it up. And he managed to poke it in the net. And that goal seemed to go slow motion for the goal in the line. I thought, is that going to go in? But again, I have to give credit as well to Scotland because at 1-1, you're thinking, right, we've got a point, we'll settle for that. But no, we didn't. We went forward and scored a minute later. And fair play because, again, it's a really good goal. It's really well made. great little touch off by Lyndon Dykes and a great finish by Kenny McLean. It's a really well-worked goal. So you've got to give massive credit to Scotland and Steve Clarke because he made the change at the right time. I was disappointed he didn't bring Nisbet or Shankland on because we would go down, but he made the right calls. You know, Billy Gilmer got on the ball, Armstrong was a bit of an outlet, and Kenny McLean gets the goal, so fair play. But honestly, I just think the man management of Steve McLaren has been Steve McLaren has been fantastic. Steve McLaren, I'm so hyper, I'm buzzing. But honestly, I'm just too excited. And I can't find my Scotland top. I'm gutted. I would have won it tonight. But honestly, I'm so excited. I mean, this squad is just, they're fighting for each other, they're playing for each other. I mean, even defensively, you know, you look at, I keep talking about the guy, but Haaland he's a unit. And I have to say, Porteous, I know he gave the penalty away, but he did fine. Jack Hendry did really well. Liam Cooper comes on and does well. They handled him very well. You know, they didn't really give him a lot of chances. I can't remember apart from the penalty, I can't remember another shot that Haaland had. We defended him very, very well. And to defend a guy like that, who scored like 52 goals this season, I think that's fantastic. I really do. And the fact that now that's the third game in. I'll be honest, when the qualifying draw was made, I did think it was us and Norway for second place. I don't think any Scotland fan could have expected us to be sitting after 3 games with 9 points. That is just incredible. That Spain game, we were on the show after the Spain game, and today's even better. Because to win away from home against Norway, it's incredible. And I genuinely believe, and I hope I don't regret this, but I genuinely think we're going to beat the Euros. I honestly think we're going to get there. Tuesday's a big game now. You've got to expect we'll beat Georgia. If we win that game, it's 100% done for me. Because you've got to think we play Cyprus after that. Norway have got to play Spain again, which you probably think they won't win. We played Norway at home last game, and again, as Michael Stewart, I think Rory Hamilton said, you're hoping that's a dead rubber. But Norway have got it all to do now. They're 8 points behind. They've got to potentially win all their games. We can afford to drop maybe 3 points to Spain away from home.
Yeah.
But we're in a great position. I mean, I know that James had talked about Steve Clarke, and again, I do get where he's coming from, but you've got to say the job he's doing is absolutely magnificent.
And Rory, I mean, you've got to remember that, you know, not only did we beat Norway tonight, we beat our Champions League winner in the team as well.
Yeah, very, very true. I mean, as we were saying, Haaland, I was petrified of the idea of, you know, Henry and Porteous up against Haaland, but my word, they do well. And on Jack Henry, of course, they got booked for, you know, pulling him down at roughly halfway. But I mean, I feel it's one of those ones as a defender. I'm saying this also having not played, but you know, you've got to. It's one of those where it felt like he had to do it, and there was some vague chatter about could it have been a red card, but no chance.
It was never a red card. No chance.
I mean, no, but Haaland, I am just delighted with how well we kept him quiet and kept him at bay, really, because I thought he was going to run ring rounds, and even Martin Odegaard as well. I mean, he never even really had a pop from range either. I was expecting that.
I mean, Graham, obviously we've got to talk about the yellow card, sorry, say that again, non-yellow card, right? But see, when you look at all the yellow cards we got, you know, like Tierney, Porteous and Henry, they were fouls, but they weren't yellow cards.
We were putting as 12 men today because that first challenge from McGinn, there wasn't a lot else in the game. There wasn't a lot of bad fouls, and he books him for a first kind of challenge. It's never a yellow card, but the thing is, it's the consistency. I said it earlier, a minute later, he's got fouled and there's no yellow card. The one that Tierney gets, I mean, that's the worst of the lot. He clearly wins the ball. He throws his hands in the air to say, what's that for? And he gets booked for it. Ridiculous. The only one the referee got right was the Jack Henry one. You know, that was a yellow card. I know that VAR looked at it. It was never a red card. But Norway didn't get one booking that whole game, which I just find remarkable. Because, I mean, I said it earlier, the challenge in the second half, Haaland goes in full-blooded on Hickey, no yellow card. How is that not a yellow card? It's a clear booking. I just thought the referee was absolutely horrendous today. But do you know what? We've managed to beat 12 men. So fair play. Fantastic. And Mr. E says, Norway is no means feat. And he's right. You know, they are a decent side. I do think we showed a bit too much respect in the first half especially. But I can understand why, because that threat of Haaland in behind was huge, but we dealt with them very well. But we just, honestly, I can't put into words how happy I am after that, because I didn't see it coming. You know, for most of that game, I thought, I can't see us scoring. And then we go and score 2 in a minute. It's just incredible.
Do you think that I'm just trying to think back in my old memory bank here, Graham? Do you think that I know we've beat Norway tonight, but do you think the last time we beat a big team away from home was France when McFadden scored that goal?
Yeah, possibly. And I've actually watched that goal a few times as well, and it just gets better every time we watch it. But again, I keep talking about statement wins. There's a lot of managers in Scotland that have not really had that. And I think Steve Clarke's had a couple of them now. He's had Spain at home, which was huge. And he's had that game today as well, which is massive. To beat a team like Norway away from home, and it's just an incredible feat. And I have to say as well, I did kind of think when they took Haaland off, I thought Scotland players were probably thinking, right, he's out of the way, that's fine, we don't have to worry about him now. And then we go win the game. I mean, if you're the Norway coach, you must be thinking, why did I not leave Haaland on? I think they got a bit too arrogant in thinking this game's won now.
Yeah,
and it clearly wasn't. They took, I think they got complacent. They took Haaland off. But, you know, at 2-0 up, I can understand. But at 1-0 up, you've always got a chance to get back in the game. They've taken off their best player, and they suffered for it. Because Scotland have not only drawn the game, but they've won it. So I just think that's absolutely fantastic. And I mean, I'm sure the Scotland fans will be absolutely delighted in Oslo tonight. There was a lot of them there, and what an occasion that is. But do you know what? The job's only half done. I said that I'd take 4 points from these next 2 games. You've got to be looking at 6 now, because you've got to be looking at taking 3 points against Georgia at home. We win that. There's 4 games left. I can't see any reason we're not going to go to the Euros. And honestly, I keep talking about this. I think what Steve Clarke has done has been incredible. It really has. I think he's built a culture there within that team, and obviously Laurie will know this as well. He really has built a really good culture there. Players want to turn up for Scotland. Players want to be there. Players want to play. You've got players fighting for their places, because now, if somebody goes out of the team, they know that if they don't work hard, they won't be in the team. And I think that's exactly what you want. So I think you've got to give fair credit, because, again, managing an international, managing club team is different. You see your players every day. You don't get that at international level. You see them once every few months. So the job that he's done there is incredible. It really is. And that win today is just fantastic, because I think me, you, Laurie, and any Scotland fan watching this never saw that coming.
No. Laurie, do you think our neighbours down the road will be sitting up and taking notice now, or do you think they'll be still ignorant to us?
Well, they'll probably always be a little bit ignorant to us in the football sense. However, they'll have to sit up and take notice because their trainers in September. But I'm buzzing for that game, by the way. Yes, I'm looking a bit ahead, but that's going to be some night at Hampden. When they come for the 150th anniversary, that is going to be some night. Hampden, absolutely packed, and fingers crossed we can get a victory over the old enemy. But yeah, they do need to be paying attention, and of course, if you want to look at Nations League standings, we're in League A, they are not. So there you go.
Yeah, Rig Scotland has joined us on the chat tonight. Lots of comments coming in. I'm loving this on YouTube. We're on till 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, by the way. No, I'm okay. It says, we better not say that. Graham won't hold it in very longer.
I'm too excited.
Oh, I say. He said that's Norway finished the group. Well done, Scotland. Well done, Steve Clarke. Brilliant manager. If we beat Georgia at Hampden, we're going to the Euros, in my opinion. I think your opinion's spot on, Reg Scotland. But that's what I was going to ask you, Laurie, about. Obviously, you're going to the game on Tuesday night. Do you think he'll change the team, or do you think he'll stick by the same 11? Obviously, we've got to see how Keelan Tierney's he come off tonight. But apart from that, do you think the team will be the same?
Yeah, I think it'll be quite similar. Obviously, there might be a few knocks and niggles, obviously Kieran Tierney, and who knows, there might be a few others between now and Tuesday. But I think on the whole, it will stay the same. I don't think Steve Clarke will reinvent the wheel. He tends to stick more than he twists, really. So I think it will be somewhat similar to what we played. But you don't know whether maybe we'll put someone else up front with Dykes, whether maybe a Nisbet or a Shankland might sneak in. You don't know, but there won't be wholesale changes anyway. I wouldn't think.
There you go, Grim. That's your namesake back on, Bill, Graham Henry. Grim says, great result tonight. Let's hope this forum will continue. Yes, and also bring back the weather on Tuesday night away some night if it was nice and warm and Mount Florida as well. Right, we've got a lot of people watching tonight. Brilliant to see. And I'm just going to have a wee shout out to the show that we've did. Yesterday, Graham did a brilliant show on mental health and sport with See Me Scotland from Christopher from See Me Scotland. So if you haven't checked that one out, go and check it out. It's a brilliant show. Graham presented it and all that. And also the week before, we'd done a show about women in sport presented by the number one, Maureen McGonigal. All the hour of that show was dedicated to women in sport. So check it out as well. So there you go. That's a few plugs for the shows. Also on Tuesday night we'll be on after the small matter of the Georgia game at 10 o'clock. So get your wee cup of tea. In that case, if you don't like tea, well, don't know what you drink. Check us out at 10 o'clock. Laurie won't be joining us because he'll be at, well, maybe you will join us at the game. I don't know if you'll be celebrating by that time, but you can join in if you want. 10 o'clock on Tuesday night. And there's going to be some atmosphere at the game now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think Hampden's quite close to being sold out again. So who knows? Maybe tonight's result might kind of push it over the line to a full house in Mount Florida. I mean, I'll probably stuck with no phone signal and getting out of the car park probably. So sadly I won't be able to join you, but no doubt it'll be a great show if we were to go on and win, which really we should against Georgia. The pessimist in me always, thinks back to the couple of times we played Georgia and it's not went away, but if memory serves me right, they've both been away from home. So
here's a question I'm going to ask to Laurie and Michael and everyone else that's commenting tonight. Honestly, guys, we always appreciate the comments, especially after Scotland have won. But here's a question I'm going to ask you, right? You can answer this whichever order you want. If Steve Clarke gets us to the Euros, that'll be him qualified for 2 Euros. Where does he rank in terms of the best Scottish manager we've had if he gets us to 2 Euros?
I mean, I'd say ranks pretty highly. I mean, in terms of Scotland, yes, in the past we used to, get to more tournaments, whatever. But back to something I said earlier, if Steve Clarke becomes the first Scotland manager to, get us into the knockout stages of one of these tournaments, like the World Cup or Euros, I'm not going to come out and say that it puts him to number one, but it puts him right up there. So he's doing pretty well for himself, and of course, Steve Clarke is here for the long term as things stand, having signed the contract extension just before the last break. So he's got time on his side, and who knows, he could be one of the top managers in our history. I mean, he'll probably get into the SFA Hall of Fame at some point, for sure.
Yeah, no, I would put him up there beside our old pal Craig Brown as well. And if I was at SFA, I would break the bank and give him a big offer and giving him a contract as well. But there you go. So, because it's SFA, something might funny happen. But that's what I would say. What about you, Graham?
I think we've got to be up there. For far too long, we've not qualified for major tournaments. I mean, Craig Brown was the last one that did it in '98, and we've not qualified for far too many. I think if he gets us to another Euros, then I think he's got to be right up near the top. I genuinely do. And I think the job that he's done has been fantastic. I mean, he always comes across as a kind of dour character, but the job he's done has been incredible. I mean, genuinely, it's been absolutely fantastic. And we're getting a lot of comments in here as well, by the way. I'm going to read them all out as well. Hang on. So, Tommy Gunn, another new person. Great. If that happens, Steve's the man. Hashbury Stumble says, I still have a lot of time for Alec McLeod. Red Scotland, good to see you back, Red Scotland. He's the best Scottish manager of my lifetime. Craig Brown qualified for the more, but he wasn't as good a manager as Stevie. MC, BBC not mentioning Scotland beating Norway 2-1. They keep telling us Scotland is rubbish at everything. Tommy Gunn, I'm still in Ali's Tartan Army. Maureen Finn, getting loads of comments. I've been trying to keep an eye on everyone. Maureen Finn, so happy. Brilliant result. Well done, lads. James Elliott, not for me. We've had Craig and it took us to a World Cup and the Euros, which is fair enough. And I think Independence Flag was well said, Tommy. You, I know we get so many comments and it's great. I love it.
You're never going to please that guy, Mr. Idiot, tonight. That's what he's called, Mr. Rumpy. You can check him out actually on, I don't know why I'm saying this, it's Saturday between, Glenn will keep me right here, 10 and 1. Is that right? Yeah, no?
Close. James's show, the big Saturday show, is on from 10 till 12, and he also does another fantastic show as well, which he's not paid me to say, but I think I should get commission for this. He does another one on Thursday from 7 till 9. It's called Your Country, where he plays the best of country music. So I might get a wee shot of that as well. Maybe about Tammy Wynette or something. You never know. But yeah, it's another great show. And again, I should get commission for saying that, but I won't.
Like that's enough about his show. Oh, I started that conversation. That's why. I think we've mentioned this in the few times that we've did the Scotland games over the years, Graham. That back in the day, it was like a chore to watch the Scotland games. It was like, oh no. But now it's like, oh, I can't wait to see Scotland playing home and away now, because obviously we won away tonight as well.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of people that still are not massive fans of the national team. They're all club. I am not in that camp at all. I love Scotland. And again, I think the fact is, what's happened the last few years has been incredible. We qualified for the last Euros. There was such a buzz around the place as well. I live in Pennycook, and I used to go out to Tesco and stuff, and you would see Scotland flags, Scotland scarves hanging at windows for the Euros, and it was great. And it is honestly now, watching Scotland is fantastic. I love it. And it's been a long time since that happened. And again, you've got to give credit to Steve Clarke, because he's brought that mentality in. And the performances now, again, today, performance-wise, wasn't great, but we've got the job done. We've got 3 points, and that's all that matters. At the start of the game, I just said, I'll take a point right now, but to get all 3 of them, it's just incredible. So, yeah, I think now, watching Scotland is fantastic. It really is. And I know we've got other games to come. We've got Cyprus to come. But again, for me, and I know it's somewhat friendly, but in September, for anyone that doesn't know this on the chat, in September we play England at Hampden in a friendly, which is going to be a fantastic occasion. And do you know what? I'm going to say this now. I don't think there's any reason that Scotland can't beat them. I've always said that I think England are massively overhyped. They always have been. Whenever they go to tournament, whenever they play in qualifiers, like yesterday, they're all going, oh, we beat Malta 4-0. It's Malta. I could get a group of guys to go out there and beat Malta quite comfortably. Honestly, the hype around England is just ridiculous. And again, we're again, and I don't want to go into this, but I'll rant anyway. But tonight, us Scottish people who've got a Scottish channel on TV have to watch Viaplay, whereas last night, England's game against Malta, a ridiculous game to show, is on Channel 3. What's the point in that? They are ridiculously overhyped. I don't think Gareth Southgate's a great manager at all. And I genuinely believe that when they come to Hampden, I don't think there's any reason that Scotland can't beat them, because I don't think they're that good. Even at the World Cup last year, I think they were very poor. They got very lucky with some of the games they had. They got put out by Italy. And I said this before, Harry Kane's penalty is still in my garden just now. If you want to get your ball back, Harry, it's right here. But honestly, they are so overhyped, it is incredible. And I think Scotland have got every chance to beat that England team, because they're not as good as folk think they are.
And I think as well, Lolly, that, obviously we're not here to talk about it, but anyway, it affects everybody in every walk of life. And Graham's right about the cost of living crisis as well. And like you're asking people to go to the Scotland games, but if they don't go to away games, you've got to fork out money to buy Viaplay. And if you're not lucky, well, you've got to wait until 10:30 tonight to watch the highlights. It's not fair.
No, it's not fair at all. When you were saying about England having their games on Channel 4 and they had them on ITV previously, or STV, whatever you want to call it, and that opened their can of worms, I know. But even Wales have their game on free-to-air TV. I'm sure S4C, the Welsh language channel, has Wales game. I'm not sure about Northern Ireland, but the point is, Scotland for some reason seems to be the exception to the rule. We seem to be the only ones who don't actually have a country on free-to-air TV. I mean, there's nothing strictly wrong with the games being on Viaplay, but the fact they're exclusively on Viaplay, I don't really see why we can't have, I don't know, BBC Scotland or STV or somebody at least bidding for the rights for them. Like, come on. I mean, it's just it's not really good enough, is it?
No, well, I don't want to give myself a plug, but I'm going to. Like, if you read the famous Tartan Army magazine, you'll see my article, shameless plug here, about free-to-air football, and I go into all the kind of details. Anyway, why did you mention that for? Graham, we've got lots of comments coming in, and I know you're keeping an eye or two eyes tonight on the comments.
Do you know what? Who says men can't multitask? So I'm just looking at some of the comments here. James Elliott, when I talked about his show, said you can't beat quality. Well, James, that's what you're on because we're quality. Well, two of us are. Me and Laurie. I don't know about James, Michael. The other ones are. Let me have a look here. Mr. E says, "Right, folks, you have a good night. Need to get my brains ready for the bed." It's a bit early for that, is it? No. Justin McMullen, Gordon. We're getting a lot of new comments here as well, which I like. Says, well done, Scotland. Tommy Gunn says, I was laughing when Scotland's second goal went in. My German wife shouted through, how can you laugh while watching football? Because we're Scottish. That's what we do. Other comments coming in here as well. Let me see. Red Scotland will be treated like this in independent Scotland. The answer is quite simply no. Everything begins with yes. Happy stumble. It's all about the money for TV rights. And James Elliott says the games will always go to the highest bidder, and neither so-called Scottish channels will be able to compete. But I mean, a lot of that is right. But I think we just have to say as well. I mean, tonight is it's a night for Scotland because again, I loved when we came on after the Spain game. We were so hyper. Well, I was anyway. I still am. And I think tonight's even better because I think these last two games against Spain and Norway, nobody expected us to beat Spain, and we did. Today, when we're 1-0 down, I don't think we expected to win that game, and we did. So I couldn't be any happier. You know, Scotland are, and you're right what you said earlier, Michael. It used to be people didn't used to like watching Scotland, but now people come together. My laddie watched the game with me, with his pals. You know, people are actually now talking about when's the next Scotland game or when are we playing again. And that's great. You know, you want that kind of publicity. You want people to get behind the Scotland team. And if we get to another Euros, which is looking very, very likely we're going to, again, you're going to get people that are going to be buzzing about it. And honestly, what an incredible time to support Scotland just now. Red Scotland tonight has backed up the Spain result. Now we're actually good contenders, which is exactly a great point because you had to go and back up that Spain game. You know, had we beat Spain and then lost tonight, it would have been a bit of a kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Tonight we've not done that. Honestly, it is just incredible. And I wanted to ask Laurie a question as well, here as well, about Steve Clarke. I mean, obviously you witnessed it at Kilmarnock. What is it about Steve Clarke, do you think, that he gets the best out of the players that he's got? Because you rightly said, Kilmarnock, they didn't have, they had Alan Power, they had Gary Dicker, they had good players, but maybe not world-class players. So what is it about Steve Clarke that you think that he gets out of his players that they make him want to play for him?
I think one of the key things behind it is the fact that he seems to try and keep everything kind of simple and straightforward. Of course, not in a patronising way, but it doesn't overcomplicate. Because I remember when Steve moved on from Kelly to take the Scotland job, we brought in Angelo Alessio, and a lot of the kind of experienced players didn't appreciate his method. I mean, Clarke Road to it was particularly vocal about it at the time, and the kind of word was that he was kind of overcomplicating and making it quite tactical, slow, boring. Whereas I think Steve Clarke, just tries to keep it quite down to earth is probably kind of best phrase I can come up with. Like, just doesn't do anything too flash or too fancy, which it sounds patronising, but it's not meant to come out that way. But Steve Clarke just seems to, as you say, have some knack of being able to get that sort of performance out of players who you wouldn't think are capable of such performances. I mean, even if you look at some of the Scotland, some of the current Scotland team, like I get these at Man United and he's a solid Premier League player, but look at Scott McTominay. You never saw that sort of performance from him, when he was under Alex McLeish, or even John McGinn, who obviously played under Gordon Strachan for a bit as well. Always looked a decent player. We are now starting to see, particularly for Scotland, the real quality that McGinn has. I mean, I had to laugh at something that I saw on Twitter yesterday about McGinn. It was from WhoScored.com, actually. They seem to be doing something on Twitter. You might have seen it, where they're looking at the strengths and weaknesses of players. And it says McGinn's weaknesses were passing and shooting. Right? You don't see that in a Scotland.
I was just going to ask you as well, Laurie, to follow up Mr. Duffy's question about Steve Clarke. What even makes it more impressive, because Scotland are playing well, Steve Clarke's not came from any of the big two teams in Scotland. You might argue with that, Laurie, because you think Clarke's a big team, and I totally understand that. But usually we've had like Walter, the late great Walter Smith, Tommy Burns, managers like that, and they've actually came from Celtic or Rangers or Celtic. But Stevie Clarke's came in to the Scotland setup outside of the Old Firm bubble. So do you think that would help the kind of Scottish the kind of English media as well, could kind of say, well, this man's not really been involved in Celtic or Rangers, yet he's got a successful team on the park. Would you agree with all that?
Yeah, to an extent, Michael, because I think it probably took a bit of the pressure away from him. Like, if he was a former Celtic Rangers manager, there would be more of a weight of expectation on him. No, there was no expectation on him going in. Of course there was. I mean, everyone hoped or everyone expected that Steve Clarke would do well. I mean, I for one was pretty confident, but I think it has maybe helped him that he wasn't associated with either of the Old Firm before coming in. And in fairness with Steve Clarke, he's probably associated more with English football than his Scottish football, because obviously in his playing career, he had his time at St Mirren, but most of his time was spent at Chelsea, and then the vast majority of his coaching career has been, well, actually in the English Premier League. If you look at his time, as Jose Mourinho's assistant to kind of Liverpool, and it's mostly in England he's worked. So maybe that little bit of time away from Scottish football has actually helped him in getting the national team job. Yeah,
no, I was going to pick up on the point that you made, Graham, early on about, like, you were saying that I think you said at half time as well that it wasn't a really kind of good performance. But to be honest, I would take that every week. Not playing well, but still winning the game, because the idea of the game is putting the ball in the net.
Yeah, I mean, I do get that, but I think at times in that first half, it did look like we were setting up for a 0-0 draw. Norway were playing 4-3-3, we were playing 4-5-1. It was very rigid. I don't think we really pressed that high up the park. We didn't really make a lot of challenges. But I think I can't remember who it was in the group chat earlier, because I can't be bothered going back to all the comments. He said that they had 63% possession, Norway, but they didn't really do that much with it. Apart from that kind of one chance for Soloff early on, they didn't really create a lot of chances.
And that
so
was
Scotland were defending.
And that was
it was.
Yeah,
it was. Angus Gunn it was straight at him. It wasn't a great header. If that was Haaland, it might have been different, but thankfully it wasn't. But we didn't My problem was we didn't really look like we were creating a lot going forward, and the only threat we had was Robertson on the left hand side, who was honestly brilliant. He was fantastic all game. He was the only threat we had. We were playing a lot of long balls to Lyndon Dykes, who was getting no support at all. You had to get the ball to Dykes' feet, but a lot of times we were just punting the ball long, and he was losing it, and they were just getting the ball back again. So it was like, what's the game plan here? And it was kind of the same second half. It was like, give Norway possession, but don't let them get, too many chances. And again, we were defending well, and then we gave that penalty away, but I do think it is very soft. I do think Hamlin throws himself to the ground. But at that point, I'm thinking, right, what do we do now? We have to make changes. What do we do now? And I did disagree with the decision to bring on the players that he brought on, because I thought we need to score. And he's got Nisbet and Shankland on the bench, and he brings on 3 midfielders. But you know what? That's why you get paid the big bucks. Steve Clarke made the right call. He brings on the 3 changes. They make a massive difference. McLean scores a goal. And yeah, I suppose it doesn't matter how you do it as long as you win the game. But honestly, after about 80 minutes at 1-0 down, I thought, right, we're going to lose this game. Let's move on to Georgia. I did not expect to win that game. At no point did I expect to win that game. So honestly, Scotland have done an incredible job. Not just to get a draw, but to then go and win the game. You could see when McLean goes to second goal, you could see Norway just looked totally crestfallen. They looked like they thought this game's done. And honestly, not only that, they thought the qualifier was done. And it pretty much is. They're 8 points behind now, which is massive. They play Cyprus on Tuesday and we're playing Georgia. You'd got to expect to win that game, but if we beat Georgia, honestly, the gap's too big for me. I'm probably going to regret this, but I don't see us losing to Cyprus. We might lose to Spain, but I'm hoping that Norway game, last game of the season, doesn't mean anything. So I honestly think we're there. And that result tonight is the one for me that's done it. Beating Spain was huge, but as one of the guys said earlier on, to follow up with a win today is massive, and we've done that. And I think, honestly, the player, Steve Clarke, can be so proud of himself, because that is a statement victory when it didn't look like we're going to get that.
And I mean, Rory, Graham was saying about Scotland was passing long balls, and Lyndon Dykes, he wasn't getting kind of like fed the ball enough. But that's where you miss Shea Adams, because he's like, I've said this to Graham on the show before, like Shea Adams is like a number 10 that he can run about all day for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We did miss Shea Adams, and we weren't at our best at all. But that makes these wins all the more satisfying. Sometimes when you don't play at your best, but you dig in, you kind of stick together as a unit, which is something that seems to have came up a lot in this 50-odd minutes we've been speaking about, the kind of togetherness of this group. And Graham, back to what you said about if we beat Georgia, we've done it. I don't think you'll regret that at all, because you've got to remember, and for anyone listening or watching who doesn't realise, if you finish in the top 2 in this qualifying group, you've automatically qualified. And even if we were somehow to not manage to do that, we've still got a playoff in the bag. So I do almost feel there's no way that we're not going to Germany next year again. I don't think either myself or Graham will regret that. I mean, put it this way: they say there's the easy way, the hard way, and then there's the Scottish way. But even for Scotland, screwing this up would be unbelievable.
And I have to agree with Tommy Gunn's comment about Dykes ball and McLean's pure class. He's right. It was a great little ball into him. And again, I think the thing is about, like, me and Laurie basically saying that if we beat Georgia, we're there. I think it's because it's Scotland and you just expect the worst instead of thinking, well, do you know what? Let's look to the future and let's see what could happen. So I think it's just that whole Scottish nature of we might win, but if we don't, it's horrible. And honestly, I'm so buzzing, I'm so excited, because I genuinely think, and I said that as well in the group chat, and I keep saying it, had we won tonight or even got a draw, I think we're at the Euros. And the fact we've won that game, having not played that well, I think we're there. I genuinely think we're there. We've played 3 games now. Honestly, at the start of this group, if any Scotland fan after 3 games could have thought we'd be on 9 points, no chance. Absolutely no chance. What we've done is unbelievable.
Lolly, is I know this might seem like a daft question, but then there you go. It's me asking you that, so it must be a daft question. But do you think the nation is starting to fall in love with Scotland again?
I think we absolutely are. It's not a daft question at all. It's something that probably over the last, I don't know, probably since we were all stuck at home during COVID and we qualified for the Euros. I think that moment, or even the playoff, playoff semi against Israel, the nation came together for that, and I think we've all stuck together since. I mean, I'll just come out and say it. My first Scotland game at Hampden was the Israel 3-2. So what would that have been? Maybe September, October 2021. McTominay with a last minute header. McTominay scored some really important goals for Scotland, by the way. But ever since then, I've actually been to every competitive home game that we've had. And, it's there'll be a lot of people like me where that was their first game, or a lot of people who have been, I don't want to say new adoptions to the Scotland team. I've wanted to go for a while, but just haven't got around to it. But the fact we're playing so well makes you think, what's it to lose? I'm going, and you see the amount of sellouts we've had at Hampden lately. It does show that the country has been brought back together by how well the national team have been doing. Yeah.
Graham, there's your fan club, and again.
Do you know what? Hashbury Stumble might be right. He says, I'm buzzing, I might lay a jar of honey. Forget honey, there might be another burn born right the way I'm feeling right, because I'm so happy. Honestly, I'm so excited. I'm so excited! And I just can't hide it. I'm buzzing. Come on, Scotland!
Right, come on.
Sometimes the Whistler show was recorded, not live, but like Graham said,
I'm glad it's live.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's live.
Well, you can put it in the group chat with Hampton. Anyway, before we finish up, right, back to what we were saying earlier on about not about Graham's private life, no. Leave that to Sunday night. Stevie Clarke, Laurie, and we were saying that he wasn't being associated by the old firm Celtic Rangers, and Anna Rondo basically came in and says Kenny Clarke, Ken McLean made his name at St Mirren. So there you go. So you've got actually like two heroes tonight. Like you've got Stevie Clarke, and McLean was involved in the St Mirren setup, and no mention of a Celtic and Rangers player to have. So that should be good for Scotland going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, is St Mirren some sort of secret conveyor belt we don't know about? Because hopefully that's where John McGinn started out as well. So there must be something they do in Paisley. I'd like to know what it is.
There must be something.
What's in the water? What's in the water in Paisley? I don't want to know what's in the water in Paisley.
Well, let's not say Graham to come over to Paisley after that last comment that I made about the Bairn, as well. Lock up the doors tonight, by the way.
I'm just too happy. I'm too happy. Scotland have won again.
I don't know why you're happy. Yeah, maybe after the show you should go over to the house with James and cheer him up a wee bit.
Don't bring me down to that level. I'm not that bad.
Stevie Clarke transferred to Chelsea Pig for St Mirren to point their North Stand at Love Street. So there you go.
Brilliant, didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So thanks for all your comments. Wow, that's been a quick hour. And Graham's not actually I better not say that. At the end of the show now, thanks to Laurie, thanks to Graham, thanks to everybody. It's coming.
On Scotland!
It's been a brilliant show. We'll be back on Tuesday to do it all again at 10 o'clock after Graham comes back from the bingo. And enjoy the game on Tuesday night, Laurie. And come on, Scotland! By the way,
Scotland!
Yes.
We're going to the Euros. I'm just going to say it. We're going to the Euros.
See you soon, guys.